Welcome. We're going to start our year off by reviewing some multi-step equations. So the first thing you'll see, we have 2x plus 15 equals x minus 8. Remember that anytime you don't see a number in front of a variable, you can assume it's a 1. So I need to move my variables to one side and my numbers to the other. So I'm going to subtract 1x. This cancels. 2x minus 1x is 1x, or x, plus 15 equals negative 8. Now I need to move the 15 over, so the opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 15 from this side, subtract 15 from this side, and I have a final answer of x equals negative 23. You want to circle your final answer so that I know what your answer is. Okay, let's go over to number 2. Now this time we have some parentheses, so I'm going to distribute the 3. So I have 3x minus 15, and that's from 3 times x, and 3 times negative 5 minus 15, plus 1x equals 2x plus 17. Now on the left, you'll notice that we have some like terms. 3x plus 1x, well, that's going to make 4x. Minus 15 equals 2x plus 17. So now we're at the point where we need to move the variable to one side and the number to the other. So since this is a positive 2x, I'm going to subtract 2x. What I do to one side, I do to the other. 4x minus 2x, that's 2x minus 15 equals 17. The opposite of subtraction is addition, so we're going to add 15, add 15. So I have 2x equals 32. And now my final step, the opposite of multiplication, is division. I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. And I have x equals 16. Of course, since that's my final answer, I want to circle it. Notice we show all steps because it's always important to show your work. If you don't show your work, you don't get credit for it. All right, we have a fraction this time, but only one variable. So my first goal will be to move this 1 over. So I'm going to subtract 1. So I have 1 over 3x equals 5. The opposite of division is multiplication. So we multiply by 3. What we do to one side, we do to the other. These cancel, and we have x equals 15. Circle that final answer. All right, number 4. Again, just the one variable this time. So the opposite of addition is we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. I have x over 4 equals 5. And then to get rid of division, we multiply. So I'm going to multiply by 4. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So times 4. These cancel, and that leaves me with x equals 20. All right. So those are the first 4. We're going to do 10 Total problems, if you've looked in Google Classroom, these notes were loaded. I have a blank copy there so that you know which problems we're working. You should be copying these down and working them right along with me. X minus 5 over 2 equals negative 8 over 1. Anytime we don't have a denominator, we can insert a 1. And then thinking back to your algebra days, we could cross multiply. So I have 1 times x minus 5 equals negative 8 times 2. Now 1 times anything gives you the same thing back. Multiplying by 1 does not change anything. So I can simply bring down x minus 5 equals, and the negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. So now what do I need to do? I need to move this 5 over. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. I'm going to add 5 to the left and then add 5 to the right. And now I have x equals negative 11. All right. We're going to try another one over here with number 6. I'm going to put this 3 over 1. And then I'm going to cross multiply. So I have 1 times x minus 8 equals 3 times x. Again, 1 times anything does not change it. So 1 times x minus 8 is still x minus 8 equals 3x. I have a variable on each side. I should only have 1. So I'm going to move this over. Again, if we don't see a number, it's a 1. So I'm going to subtract 1x on the left, which means I'm going to subtract 1x on the right. And I have negative 8 equals 2x. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by 2 on both sides. That leaves me with x equals, and negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. All right, hopefully you got all of that. We're going to look at number 7. Okay, both sides have a fraction, so we are ready to cross multiply. We have 7 times x minus 7 equals 2 times 5. All right, this time it's not a 1, so we are going to see the distributive process. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times negative 7, that's negative 49. Equals 2 times 5, which is 10. So I only have one variable, but I have 2 numbers. So the opposite of minus is plus, so I'm going to add 49 to both sides. Cancels there. And so I have 7x equals 59. Now I need to divide by 7 on both sides. And what you'll notice is that 7 does not go into 59 an even number of times. So a lot of times students forget how to do long division. So it's 7 going into 59. All right, so how many times can 7 go into 59? Well, if you think back to your times tables, we know that 7 times 8 is 56. 59 minus 56 is 3. 3 is our remainder. Okay, so we're going to say x equals 8, because that was the number of whole times it went in. The remainder was 3, and we were dividing by 7. So we would rewrite that as 8 3/7. I do expect you to remember this from your pre-algebra and algebra days. All right, let's look at number 8. Again, we're going to cross multiply. So I have 2 times x plus 4 equals 8 times x minus 7. All right, I'm going to distribute. I actually get to do this on both sides this time. Now, 2 times x, that's 2x, plus 2 times 4, 8, equals 8 times x, 8x, minus 8 times 7, 56. So we have a little bit more work to do because I have variables on both sides as well as numbers on both sides. So I'm going to start by subtracting 8x from both sides. This side cancels. I have negative 6x plus 8 equals negative 56. Okay. I've taken care of my variable. Now I need to do something with that 8. It's a plus 8, so I'm going to subtract 8. I have negative 6x equals negative 64. Again, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 6. Now, thinking back to your algebra rules, 2 negatives will become a positive. Can 6 go into 64 an even number of times? No. So I'm going to go to the side here. 6 into 64. 6 does go into 6 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. Bring down your 4. 6 does not go into 4, which means 4 is our remainder. So how do we write that? So we get 10, because that's the number of whole times that 6 went into 64. We had a remainder of 4, and we were dividing by 6. Now this one is slightly different from the last problem because 4 over 6 can be reduced. 4 and 6 can both be divided by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my final answer here would be 10 and 2/3. All right, we are moving on to the last problems, and this is really going to test how well you remember from Algebra 1. Okay, so this is the only variable I have, so I'm going to need to subtract 1/3. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Okay, so I have negative 1 over 2x equals. All right, well, I can't subtract nothing, so I'm going to have to borrow. When I borrow from 12, it becomes 11. I'm borrowing, but I need the same denominator. So 1 is the same as 3 over 3. So 11 is 11. 3 divided by 3 is 1, which would make up my 12. So 3/3 minus 1/3 is 2/3. And then I have my 11. Now, if you tried putting that in your calculator, it may have given you an improper fraction. So what would be the improper fraction? Well, 3 times 11 is 33. 33 plus 2 is 35. So you may be wondering, why would I do that? Well, it's because I want to get rid of this fraction. And so over on my left, I'm going to have to multiply by 2 to get rid of the 2, divide by -1 to get rid of the -1. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So over here, these cancel. On the right hand, we have 35 times 2, which is 70. 3 times 1 is -3. Now we do not want to leave it as an improper fraction. So let's go back and see how that works. So 3 into 70. 3 goes into 7 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. And then you have to bring down your 0. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract that. 1 is our remainder. Now we had a positive divided by negative, and a positive divided by negative is a negative. So it's a -23. And then what was our remainder? It was 1. What were we dividing by? 3. So our final answer is -23 1/3. All right, last one for our review. We are going to distribute 1 times 3x, well that's 3x, over 6, minus 1 times 18, that's 18 over 6, equals -14. Now, I can do a couple things here. Number one, I can reduce. 3 over 6 is 1 over 2. So that becomes 1/2 x minus 18 divided by 6 is 3 equals -14. Okay, I want to get my variable by itself, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides, like so. This cancels. I have 1 over 2x equals -11. Now, the opposite of division by 2 is multiplying by 2. So this cancels, and I bring down my x. -11 times 2 is -22. So this has been your review on solving multi-step equations. I have posted a few problems for homework. You will need to complete those, making sure to show your work. No work equals no credit. And then you will need to post them in the assignment. So make sure you take your picture, upload it, and post it to receive credit. Until next time.